Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I thought I would finally do my TBR for the month of September, but I have to warn you, it's already the 4th of September. I have been pushing this back, and the only reason why I did so is because I felt a little bit ashamed that I did not finish all of the books that I was meant to in the month of August. So last month I was meant to read the final girl support group, the final revival of Opal and Nev, Who Fears Death, Foxes, and Neverworld Wake. I ended up only reading 2 out of these 5 books. And I don't really have a reason why. I read other books. I didn't particularly want to read just these books, and some of them I didn't want to pick up, and one of them I actually did start but just have not finished because I'm finding it quite hard to pick up again. Here's what I actually read in the month of August. So the first book that I read was actually Avalon High by Meg Cabot. I wanted to participate in the Merlin readathon originally, so I had picked up this book as a retelling of an Arthurian legend. So originally that's what my plan was, except that I was also moving that week and clearly underestimated the time that would take me, so I did not finish the Merlin readathon, which is why there is no vlog about it. So I read Avalon High. Then I read From Here to Eternity, Traveling the World to Find the Good Death, which is a non-fiction book told by a mortician who explains her adventures going throughout the world to discover other cultures' ways of dealing with death and funeral rites and everything. It was super interesting, really fascinating, but I also had it as an audiobook, and that's why it was so easy for me to read it while I was moving, because I just listened to it most of the time. And it was a little bit weird whenever my partner would come in the room and it would be like at the moment where she was explaining some death ritual happening that was really gruesome, and I was like, oh, I swear I don't just listen to this murder podcast, but perhaps I do. So this was the second book that I read, really enjoyed it. Then I finished reading The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Goss. This was actually part, I think, of my July TBR, but it kind of overlapped on the 2 months, and I was just finishing it around the same time that I was sorting other books. So this is why I don't know whether to count it as part of July or August, but let's just say it's August, because it says here I finished it on the 9th of August, so it's still quite a bit within the month of August. Then I read the final revival of Opal and Nev, which was on my TBR, and the only reason why I finally started reading a book on my TBR list is because I participated in the mini weekend version of the Thousand Doors readathon. So there's a vlog of that, you can watch it, I'll put the link. So basically I read the final revival of Opal and Nev, which is a very similar story to Daisy Jones and the Six in the way that it's told. It's also interview format, it's also about a famous band from the past. That doesn't actually exist, it is a fictional band, but very similarly to Daisy Jones and the Six. But there is a difference in the topics that both books kind of cover, and I would say Opal and Nev is much more focused obviously on the issue of race. So if you're into that kind of story, this is a really, really fun book to read. I really enjoyed myself, and I had it in both audiobook format and written format, I mean physical format, so I kind of did a hybrid version of this and half listened to it, half read it. And both are good. Then I read Foxes by M.A. Bennett, which is a sequel, and it was also for the Thousand Doors mini version of the readathon thing, and really enjoyed it as well. I think I rated it 4 stars, so that was fun. And then finally, for the same readathon, I ended up reading a super short novella called A Dead Gin in Cairo, because I want to read the full novel that is set in the same universe by the same author, who is P. Jelly Clark, and he wrote Ring Shout, which I read earlier this year and really, really enjoyed. He writes very action-packed fantasy, alternative universe type of thing, so it's a little bit urban fantasy-ish, and it reminds me a lot, I mean, Ring Shout really reminded me of Buffy type of thing, and Sabrina maybe, so it was really fun. And A Dead Gin in Cairo is set in, I think, 1914, in an alternate version of Cairo, Egypt. So if you like that kind of stuff, it was so good, so fun. I rated it 5 stars. So yeah, that was it. I did end up reading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books in total, so more than my TBR list. And I started reading the final girl support group by Grady Hendrix. I'm only about 100 pages in. I was about 100 pages in a week ago and just have not advanced in the book. I could have technically finished this one last month, but I just found it hard to plunge myself into it. And the reason why is, although it's really well written and I am enjoying the general plot, it is very stressful. Because you are plunged into the thoughts of a very paranoid character, and she's exhausting. She's just exhausting to read from, and I probably should pick up a different book at the same time and read it in tandem with this one, because I often don't want to start reading this one because I'm like, oh, I don't want to be stressed right now. And then because I was so late in starting to read the books that were actually on my TBR, I have not read the last 2 books on it, which were Who Fears Death and Neverworld Wake. So, what am I going to do this month? I am going on holiday. It is still a busy month for me. I feel like this entire year has been busy so far. So although I'm running out of excuses, I'm not gonna punish myself because I don't believe in that. I feel like reading should be fun, and if I start being like, oh, you have to read this book this month, even though I couldn't, you know, actually pick it up last month, I'm probably not going to read it the next month. I'm going to fail again. So instead of punishing myself, I'm just going to go as if nothing had happened and pick up a new set of cards. So this is my TBR game, Books Against Humanity, which is loosely based off Cards Against Humanity. And yes, I designed it, created it, and completely ripped it off that other game. So this is the rules at the back. I will also have the PDF version linked down below so that you can download it if you want to print it at home, or get a professional printer like I did and just, you know, have fun with me and play this game with me. So I have 2 sets of cards on this one, just like you do in Cards Against Humanity. The first set has a teal background with a little question mark on it, because these are the question/prompt cards. So this one, for instance, says a genre, that, which, and then there's a blank. And then you fill in the blank with the yellow cards. The yellow cards have a little A for answer on them, and on the other side it says, it has blue on it, for instance. So this particular card would only really work with a question that was a cover, that, which, has blue on it. So I give myself a hand of usually 4 to 5 yellow cards, and then I pick up every time a new turquoise card and try to answer it with my hand. The thing is, whenever I use a yellow card, I have to replace it afterwards, so I still always have a hand of 4 to 5 cards. Another rule is also that if I want to change my hand completely because it's not working with the prompt that I've got, then I have to change every single card, not just one, and I have to use the next hand at least once before changing it again. And then finally, the last rule is that if I manage to use one of the prompts to fit in a book that I really, really want to read this month, like for instance for a themed video or something, then I add myself another card. I'm not going to do it to infinity. I'm literally just adding one more card in my hand, just because, as you can see, I'm not reading that much these days, so that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to shuffle my 2 decks, and then I'm going to give myself a hand of 4 cards. Okay, let's get a hand of 4 cards. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So my cards are, for the cover, then bought last, then has an author whose name starts with a letter, and then I have to randomize the letter. And finally, I pick at random from my Goodreads TBR list. Okay. I feel like these are new cards. That's nice. I feel like last time I was getting all the same cards as the time before, and it was getting really frustrating. Cool. So let me get a question card. My first question card is a sci-fi novel, that, which... Okay, you have no idea how happy that makes me, because I do want to fit in a sci-fi this month, mostly because I have a novella that I really want to read that is sci-fi, and another book that I want to fit in into one of my themed videos that is a sci-fi. So I'm definitely going to need to pick up a 5th card. I think the best card I could use for this is bought last. So I'm probably going to have to pick the last sci-fi that I have bought, which means I have to look through all the sci-fis that I own and maybe my Amazon account. So this does not fit into any of my actual themed videos or anything like that, but I am quite excited to read it, and I could make it work within a video that it didn't have this book originally in, but it does work within it, which is Artificial Condition, and that's the second book in the Murderbot Diaries, and it's a novella, which means it's super short, so I think I am gonna add another card to my deck, to my hand, so I'm gonna have 5 cards to hold with me. This is the second book in this series, the Murderbot Diaries, and the first one was All Systems Red by Martha Wells, and this is the second one that I'm going to be reading. And basically this is about this AI intelligence robot thing that is a security bot, and I think they call it a sec bot, and basically it's accompanying a team of scientists on a planet to do some exploration, but then some incidents happen and it calls itself Murderbot, and it also has managed to become completely free of all, what are they called? Protocols, so it doesn't actually need to do anything that it's been ordered to do, because it's managed to become self-aware and just free itself of the protocols that are installed within its system. So basically it has to end up telling them the truth because they're living through this incident, and that's the only way it's going to be able to help. And also its only goal is literally to be left alone and watch a bunch of TV shows that it has downloaded onto its system. So needless to say, it's a great main character to read from, and I really enjoyed this book. It's a novella, it's quite short, and I was so excited after I finished it to read the second one, so this makes me really happy. Let me grab 2 more cards because it is a novella. I feel like I should have 5 books to read. Maybe I'll fit in another novella in there anyway, so I'm gonna do that, and then I can pick my next question. So my 2 new cards are Owned for the Longest Time. Oh, this is one that I always hate because I should just get rid of these books. And Is Photographic, so that would work with a cover again. Alright, my next question. A thriller, That Witch. Okay, so it could be a thriller that I have owned for the longest time. Oh, I could do a thriller I pick at random from my Goodreads TBR list. Or a thriller that has an author whose name starts with a randomized letter. I might try this one first. So I'm gonna try to do a thriller with an author that I randomized the first letter off. I'm gonna try this. If it doesn't work, if I don't find any book that works within this, then I'll do another one. So I've got a randomizer pick a wheel thingy, and I'm gonna spin it and see what we get. It's the letter Q. Great, I'm probably never gonna find that. Thank God I have put all my books in alphabetical order. Oh my god. I lied when I said I would never find it. I am so fucking happy. I have managed to fit in this book by Ellery Queen, The Greek Coffin Mystery. This is a book that I want to read with my brother, and I'm so freaking happy because then I'm gonna read it this month. Okay, that's great. I don't know much about the actual story behind this. All I know is that it's considered a classic mystery and that Ellery Queen is considered a classic author. Although I feel like Ellery Queen is not a real name. I think it's 2 people. So Ellery Queen is actually a pseudonym covering 2 authors, and it is meant to be their fictional writer character that is within the books, but that's pretty much all I know. So yeah, I'm quite excited to read this one. That means I get to replace that yellow card with... It's typographic. Damn, I really need to find a cover at this point because that's all I'm getting. Okay, next question. A book that which? Well, that's nice and vague. I might pick it at random from my Goodreads TBR list. So this is the prompt I'm gonna go with, a book that I pick at random from my Goodreads TBR list. So I'm on Goodreads. This is my Goodreads TBR list. And at the bottom, when you go scroll down all the way, there's a little thing that says sort, and at the moment it's sorted by date added. I'm going to sort it by random. And I think I will pick the first book that comes up. If I don't like it though. Oh. Okay, random. Sort by random. Okay, I can't really pick the first book, because the first book is actually The Anatomy of Prose, which is a non-fiction book that I'm using. I don't know why I put it in there, because it's more so that I'm just reading through it while writing, while helping myself to write. It's a self-help book, so I want to show you so you know that I'm not cheating, but it's super bright. But the second one is The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels, which is the first book in a series called Dangerous Damsels, and it's historical fiction. I think it's romance, and it sounded really fun. Let me just read you the summary of it. Okay, so this is the book that it picked for me, The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels by India Halton. So on the back it says, a prim and proper lady thief must save her aunt from a crazed pirate and his dangerously charming henchman in this fantastical historical romance. I'm not going to read you the full summary that's at the back, the full synopsis, but this is, you know, the little sentence at the top, and it just sounds really fun and just like the perfect light-hearted book for like holiday or something. And I am going to Mallorca in a week, so maybe that's the book I'm going to take with me. I'm absolutely fine with that choice. That came out really good. So let me pick another card. My next answer card is going to be, has the least amount of pages of all the ones on my TBR. Again, that makes me really happy. That means another novella potentially. Let's see what question card I get. Next question card is a story that which... a story that has the least amount of pages of all the ones on my TBR. I feel like that's the only thing I could use really in this case, because everything else is about covers and I haven't still picked a cover question. And I like this prompt. I don't really want to pick a new hand, so I think I'm gonna go with this prompt. Once again, Goodreads, number of pages, and see what comes up. So this is the most, not the least. I was like, I'm not reading the Count of Monte Cristo. There's a couple that are unknown because the books are just not out yet, so that's the first 3. And the next one, well, technically the next one is wrong. I've got When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain, which I do have on my Kindle. I do want to read this at some point. However, I have also bought another novella that I think is shorter than that, which is the other Jin one. You know, like a Dejin in Cairo one that I read last month. There's another novella which is The Haunting of Tramcar 015, which I just did not put in want to read. 96 pages on my Kindle version. So I'm gonna read this one. Also because I want to read this one. So I'm just, you know, making it good for me. Okay, so the book that I'm gonna pick for this is gonna be The Haunting of Tramcar 015, which is the second novella, or I think the third actually. I think technically there is another second one called The Angel of Khan el Khalili, but it is not on Kindle or anything. It's literally just like a page that was published on Tor.com. So I could read that and then The Haunting of Tramcar 015, and that's probably what I'll do. And that way I'll be fully prepared to get into the Dejin universe and finally read A Master of Jin. So that means I have 4 books planned and I only have 1 left to pick. So I just need another card to fill my hand, which is going to be has a title in 2 words. Perfect. And my next question. A young adult novel that which? So we're going YA. So it could be a young adult novel that has a title in 2 words, or that I have owned for the longest time. That's pretty much it. I have a few that would actually work, but I think this is the one that I'm gonna pick. So just to confirm, this is the prompt that I am going with, a young adult novel that has a title in 2 words. And the book that I'm gonna pick for this is The Fixer by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the book. So this is a story that I think is quite similar to Veronica Mars. I think it's basically this girl whose sister is like a fixer for some politicians and stuff, and she starts becoming the same thing for her high school friends. It says about her sister that she is the #1 fixer in the capital for powerful people looking to make a scandal disappear, etc. And Tess, our main character, who enrolls at the prestigious Hardwick School, finds herself doing the same thing for her friends in school. So, secrets pile up as each sister lives a double life until their worlds come crashing together in a conspiracy that reaches from the halls of Hardwick to Capitol Hill. Which sounds very fun, exciting, and also I've loved every single book that I have read by this author so far, so I have a good feeling about this one. So yeah, I think that's the book that I'm going to be picking, which means I have my 5 books. So I only have 4 here, but my 5th one is a novella that is on my Kindle, but here's the books that I'm going to be reading in the month of September. So we have The Greek Coffin Mystery, we have Artificial Condition, The Fixer, The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels, and The Haunting of Tramcar 015. And that's it! I will also be finishing this book that I have started. I was really excited to read it. So the final girl support group I will actually read. It's just going to take me a little while to go through it, and I'm quite happy to have other books to go through at the same time. So this will also be technically a September book. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, leave a comment down below. I always try to respond. Consider subscribing, ring that bell, all that jazz, and I will see you guys in the next one.